I was really only working with elite caliber athletes. Some of those who were subjected to testing, I did provide performance-enhancing drugs and teach them methods of circumventing the testing procedures. There were others that were not subjected to testing, and for those athletes I just provided the testing, nutritional element testing, and individualized nutrition programs.
So there were some athletes who, you had two sets of kinds of athletes you were working with, say in 2003. There were athletes who you did nutritional testing for and then gave them a program, right?
Correct.
That was non-drug related, illicit drug related, right?
Correct, correct.
And then there were the other group of athletes who you provided undetectable banned substances.
Correct.
Okay. Did you ever have any concern at that time in terms of the, if I say the illegal part of your business, will you know what I mean? Can we agree that we're talking about giving banned substances to people? I'm trying to use it as a code word.
Well, illegal and banned are two.
All right. So why don't we say the steroid/doping part of your business? Now we understand what you're talking about.
Yes.
Did you take any steps to make sure that that athletes who were brought to you were athletes who could be trusted not to reveal what you were doing?
Trust is a judgment call. I mean, it's you know, were there specific steps in each and every case that I took? I don't know that there were. Based upon a number of factors, I would decide that I would assist them with illegal performance-enhancing drugs or would not.
But would it be fair to say that one of the things you always had to take into account was whether or not this was the kind of person who might intentionally or unintentionally reveal that you were involved in illicit activities?
That was one of the aspects.
Okay. And was it therefore important for you to look someone in the eye and get a sense of what the situation was before you really decided to go forward with giving them illicit drugs?
The answer is yes, and I went through that process extensively with Shane Mosley.
Okay. But isn't it true that, well, okay, I understand that, because the last thing you want, it'd be fair to say that the last thing you'd want to do is to be giving something to Shane Mosley only to find out that he would go and tell someone about it right after the fact, correct?
It had more to do with questions that were being asked and answers that were provided.
That gave you a comfort level?
That gave me a comfort level.
Okay. Now, am I correct that over the years there have been athletes who have come with trainers, forgetting about Shane Mosley, but there are athletes who have come with trainers and you've done the tests, and then the issue of steroids has come up after the tests were done?
After the tests were done?
Or let me rephrase it. Has there ever been a time where you first raised the issue of steroids with a athlete and his trainer at Balco as opposed to discussing it before they got to Balco?
Not just subjective form that he raised it.
Oh, well. Was there ever a situation where someone came to Balco where there had not been a prior conversation between someone at Balco and the athlete that Balco was going to offer illicit drugs?
It's difficult to answer when you say, has there ever? I mean, there was a very long, even before I began selectively providing performance-enhancing substances, 16-year history there. So when you say, has there ever, it's a difficult question to answer.
But certainly, as of the summer of 2003, apart from the illicit side of your business, you had a major business in terms of providing legitimate nutritional and dietary services to top-line athletes, correct?
I don't know that I would call it a major business.
You provide those services to major athletes.
Yes.
I mean, you say that you never gave Barry Bonds steroids, and he was one of the people who was on the wall of your office as a customer,
Let
right?
me clarify that, if I may. If an athlete was subjected to testing, for example, NFL athletes, then oftentimes they would seek my expertise because there was testing in place, and they wanted to use these more sophisticated methods to circumvent the testing. For example, in the case of baseball, and when I started working with Barry Bonds in 2000, there was no testing in baseball. So not only just with Barry Bonds, but with all of these athletes that have been called the Balco 10, I never gave any of them any type of performance-enhancing drugs at any time. So it's not just Barry Bonds, it's baseball, because there was no testing.
I wasn't meaning to say just Barry Bonds. What I was trying to get at, and maybe I did it poorly, what I was trying to get at was that wholly apart from whatever you were doing with illegal substances, Balco, you and Balco had a well-known business that touted results that could be achieved with entirely legal supplements combined with the testing that you could offer.
That is correct.
Okay. And Balco, in 2003, the Balco office was lined with pictures of major stars, correct?
That's correct.
And none of those had anything underneath the picture which suggested that they were major stars because they were taking steroids, right?
That's correct.
It was presented to the person who came in from the outside that all of these people were working with Balco on the basis of wholly legitimate regimens.
Unless they were a person who was subjected to testing and there was a direct discussion about the use of these performance-enhancing drugs, such as was the case with Shane Mosley.
Okay. Well, I'm saying I understand your caveat. All I'm saying is that to the person walking in who hasn't had a discussion about illicit drugs, Balco was, and I use it in the broad sense, selling the fact that all of these famous athletes were its customers for wholly legitimate endeavors.
That's a deduction, I guess, that one could make. I don't think you could say that Balco was suggesting that, or ever advertised that all of these athletes were achieving these results with, completely legal methods.
Well, I mean, so are you telling me that you had pictures up on the wall, and some of them were meant to suggest that some of these athletes had taken illicit drugs?
I'm not saying they were meant to suggest anything.
Well, why were they up there?
Because these were athletes that I worked with that gave me an autographed picture and I put it on the wall.
Okay.